Well, hello everybody! Welcome to G-Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. Here we are on December 3rd, 2019, and yep, I'm up on the ladder looking at the roof because I wanted to show you that even with those really nasty winds that tore up everything else around here, it didn't do a darn thing to my roof sheathing. I mean my tar paper. Everything is still locked down just like I wanted it. So, little secret, when you're putting this down, you don't have time to cover it with the shingles or the composition roll or whatever's going over the top of it. Don't forget to use those discs and 3 nails to a disc. But before you nail it down, flip the seam back and put some plastic cement all the way along the seam. Then press the seam down and then nail it. And it will withstand winds. The only thing you don't want to do is leave it like this for a very long time, because the rains and sun and all of that will bleach it, make it brittle, and then it'll crack when you are working on it later, or even just walking over the top of the composition roll will tend to crack your dried out paper underneath. So you don't want to do that for too long, but I did have to get this sealed in before the rains came, and it's working. So first check when the rains subside will be to buy the rolls of composition roll I need and finish this roof off. And yeah, what you're seeing up there, those shingles, those are leftover pieces that I had laying around here. And I just put those where the flashings are and everything like that, because that's how they sit when the paper or the shingles go over the top of them. And if I didn't have something protecting them, the water would come underneath from the backside of that, they call it a roof jack or the flashing, and get into my attic, and I wouldn't want that. And over there, of course, I had that first section that had to be covered too, because the water could come off the top roll and then go underneath that flashing. I didn't want that. And same thing on this end. I put one piece of scrap shingle there so that the water will go one way or the other, but not directly down where it's not covered yet, not sealed in. All right, so let me get down off this ladder, and I'll do it the slow way. I'm really not in a hurry. I don't want you guys to see me levitate and fly and things like that, because then you'll know I'm not from this planet. All right, so that was one thing I got done. Another thing I did was I saw my guy wires were all loose, so I was up there trying to straighten them all out and strengthen them, but I was thinking that clamp up there had slipped and let those cables come down a little ways, and that still may be the thing. So I'm going to be making up a bolted clamp, kind of like a muffler clamp that I could put on around that pipe, and I'll really lock it down. And I'll use hardened steel bolts on it so that they don't bend. All right. I got a temporary strap here because when I got over here to do my adjustment, every time I got it adjusted, I was thinking to myself, why is it slack again? Well, that turnbuckle down there for adjustment is stripped out on the bottom side. And I can't believe it's stripped out, but yeah, that's the cheap stuff you get from Home Depot. They try to beat everybody's price, and they don't give you good quality. I remember in the old days, you put a turnbuckle on something, you could move a locomotive with it, never strip out on you. But apparently the threaded part, the hollow part in the section, is just cast aluminum on steel bolts. Go figure, like it's not going to strip out when you put it under stress. Well, those heavy winds are what stripped it out, so that one over there is still okay, but I put this temporary strap on here and socked it down, so I've got some protection if the winds come back up, and I will pick up some new turnbuckles at probably a place called McFadendale Hardware. They don't sell the cheap stuff. You got to pay for it, but they've got the good stuff. So I can get some real all steel turnbuckles and put them on there. And I need a third one anyway for up on the roof side there, because I only have an eye bolt like this one going through a steel plate on the front eaves, and that's what locks that down over there. So I will have to get a third one, and I'll do that when I get to McFadendale, but other priorities first. All right, so I drained down this water barrel because the rains are supposed to start tonight, go through tomorrow, and it's like a 90% chance. So I'm pretty sure the rains are coming, so I wanted to have room to store that water when it comes down. And I can still take more into those containers before I'll have to transfer those. But I fixed the leak and the cap on that first flush up there, and I've got it cracked open to let water come down into this barrel. And then this one is drained off now to 2/3 empty, and I think that's probably good enough, so let's shut it off there. And where did I drain that to? Well, that one had algae in it, and I wanted to clean some of the algae out. So I drained that off into the outhouse and put my septic system granules in there. And those have got to be wet. So I drained that in there, wet everything. I put the granules in there so that it will eat up the solids. And that's what it's supposed to do. Okay, so I did go reach up in the attic. It was an idea I got from one of the comments from one of the YouTubers out there that said put a camera up in the attic. Well, I took pictures up there because there's no room in that attic to do anything like that. And I can see from one end to the other, but you can't see side to side because it's just such a low attic. I built it that way so that I wouldn't have a lot of attic space. And as you can see, you got to start where the porch goes up against the cabin. That's where the top of the rafter sits. Then you see it's only up in the center, it's only up 11 inches. So in between that is a 2x4 rafter and a 2x4 truss. So the space you got in between there is just barely big enough for me to put two hands through. And well, when I was taking pictures, flash pictures up there is an eave vent or a gable vent up there on the roof that lets the air through out of the attic on the hot summer days. Well, guess what? I got two shadows of two rats sitting right up against there because the place I went in the cabin was way down there. So I scared them over to this end, and you can just make out the shadows with the light behind coming through that vent in the attic. So I see two of them up there. It could be three. Well, I got the traps baited. They're still baited. They're not touching them. They're not going after the poison bait, that cheap poison bait that's not really poison, because in this state you can't buy real poison anymore. Well, so they want the rat population to pick up. Well, it's picking up. Trust me, it's picking up. So anyway, it's getting late. Clouds are rolling in. It looks like the rain is not far from coming, but it'll probably hit right in the middle of the night. And then we're going to get a break for a couple of days. So that's supposed to be a rain all day tomorrow. Pretty decent rain. So let's see what we get out of it. I don't know if we'll get any snow on this one. And Pierre, you mentioned that you might come by around the 8th. You might want to check your weather and your travel on that one. You'll probably be coming across the I-40 from your location in Arizona. And there are some high spots over there. That goes right through Laughlin. And there's a possibility with the rain, they're saying for the 8th is supposed to be 90% chance. So that's not a really good time to pull into the desert with rains coming down like that. And going through the high spots, mostly everywhere in California, all of the passes through the mountains require chains on your vehicle. So I don't know if you have chains for your bus, but they are required in a lot of places. If you came from the south and came up the 15 through the Cajon Pass, a lot of times when it's raining here, it's snowing there, and they'll shut that pass down completely, no travel. So a lot of the truckers pull over to the side with the sleeper cabs and just have a good night's rest. So you might end up doing that if you come that route, but I suspect you'll be coming by the I-40. Just wanted to let you have that information up front. All right, so my electricity, I want to post those pictures I took in the attic so everybody gets a better idea of what it looks like up there in the attic. But I have to use the big computer to first to process the pictures onto either onto paper or onto a big screen, so that I can take pictures of them or the video with them with the cell phone or the smartphone. I can't show you pictures on the smartphone, and I don't do editing because I don't have editing software on my smartphone. So anyway, I have to wait till I get a little more electricity because it's been a week of overcast days with one sunny day in between and no winds since those really heavy duty winds. So I haven't been producing a lot of electricity, and my battery banks have been down to 12.1 to 12.3. That's 12.1 volts to 12.3 volts. That's not really detrimental, but I save that power because I have to run power tools for the work I'm doing here. So just bear with me a little while and I'll get those pics posted down the line. All right, next thing was the door had swelled from all the rain and it was sticking, so I couldn't close it. Well, I had to run my disc sander down this edge and give it a little cleaning, so it works now. All right, so coming into the dark room, turn a light on, and in here I put all the blocks in up at the top up there all the way across. Okay, so this right above the door is the one you see, the three dark spots up there in that one that has a screen over the top of it so the bugs can't come in. And not too much cold will come through that for now because I don't have the vents on the outside underneath the shiplap. There's the one in the center. I decided to put three because when I did the math, I needed that much cubic inch of space in the attic vents to let the air in and circulate out to meet the size of the vents that are going on the two ends. So you got to kind of equalize that. There's a mathematical formula that all the contractors out there know what it is. But you people that are not building houses or anything really don't need to know that stuff. So, or you can just look it up if you wanted to. But anyway, with those blocked off in there, it stays a heck of a lot warmer in here because I'm not sucking all the cold air in. Now the little gap between the top of the block and the 2x6 up there, I will run a bead of foam around those because it is just big enough for little insects to get through, and I don't want that. These over here, the 2x6s fit really tight. Because remember, this was the porch area, and that was the new construction. So when I did the new construction, I set it up just for the right size blocks. And this one I was just doing a modification to. All right. So we got all of that done. The weather, the turnbuckle, the roof with no tears, first flush repairs, and propane. All right, somebody was asking how much propane I use. So I put the fresh tank of propane, that's a 100-pound tank. I connected that on October 1st. And there's still a little bit left in it, probably somewhere between 2 and 3 gallons left in it. That's not enough for thinking about a safe night and the heat not going off in the middle of the night and getting down below freezing inside the cabin. So I switched it out to the next tank today, and I wanted to make sure that I have plenty of heat just in case. Now remember, we've been having these cold temperatures and the rains and all of that kind of stuff, so the heater pilot runs 24/7. The heater thermostat is set to keep the cabin at around 68 to 70 degrees. And I only turn that up to 68 to 70 just before bed, so that when I get up in the morning, I'm not walking through a cold cabin. It's just comfortable. And that's because I I don't like pajamas, so I use my original birthday suit, and it still fits. All right. Enough of that, right? All right, everybody. That's all there is for today. G-Bear reminding you, give me a thumbs up down there, like my videos, please. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to share this with your friends. And if there's any questions or comments, leave them at the bottom. I'll get back to you. G-Bear, signing off.